the fuck up. It's time to talk business. Jared Taylor, Matt Best, and Evan Hafer proudly present Blackhearted. Sponsored by BlackRifle Coffee Company and Arson Wave.
Heck yeah. Back in Salt Lake. It feels good to be back.
Oh yeah.
We're in our home
Yeah.
with our spatial setup, not with the mobile kit. As always, we have Mr. Black Baker with us today that's going to be introducing our guests. You know the game, Baker. You give the 30-second of each, and then you let them give the long one.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
And we have experienced radio personalities with us today, so we're going to get some good stuff out.
Right. So today, on today's episode, we have Aron Snyder and Brian Call, the Gritty Bowman, which is a podcast, a very successful podcast in the hunting space. Aron also runs Cafaro, which I'll let Evan talk more about. He's got more experience with that stuff than I do.
No, I have a good Cafaro story once we get there.
Okay, so the reason I wanted to have these guys on today was it's been interesting watching them. One, I've always said that one person creates a business of one. Two people create the business of four people. And it's interesting to see two very similar but also very diverse guys with very, very diverse backgrounds kind of partner up and watch the Gritty Bowman go from really good to like freaking awesome and on that hockey stick trajectory. You know, you guys are diversified, you're different, you appeal to a wide audience in the space. And I think a lot of, which is cool for me to watch, is a lot of the companies that are taking notice. And I think you guys, we just had Mountain Ops on, and I think you guys are kind of trendsetters right now in redefining how a lot of people and a lot of companies look at sponsorship and how to get their name and message out there in the hunting and the outdoor space. So, we have Aron and Brian Call, the Gritty Bowman.
If there's anyone that's in the outdoor space that owns a business or in the hunting space, stop spending your advertising dollars on static magazine ads and start spending them on their podcasts.
And stop spending it on hunting TV shows.
Because you will see a return out of their podcast.
Unless you're lazy and have a shitty brand, keep doing it. Keep doing that.
Yeah. So let's, Aron. So let's hear your story. You were in the military.
Yeah, I was in the military, and
Get up on that.
I had to get up on the mic, and then I got out, and I really didn't know exactly. I didn't want to be a cop. I knew that, but so I basically was trying to figure out what I could do to hunt the most, and not a lot of intelligent people in construction. So I was like, I'll work in construction. I'm going to be a fucking genius. And that's exactly what happened. So I got good enough at my job. I worked on high rises doing glass and iron working to where September rolled around, and I'm like, I'm going to take off 3 months, and you're going to have to hire me back because you need me. And when I come back, hopefully you don't fire me. And that's what I did for a while. And during that time, I obviously was hunting a ton. And long story short, I was testing products, and I finally got a hold of Patrick at Cafaro, which is not the easiest thing to do. Walked in, met him, tried on a pack. The pack was super comfortable, did a scouting trip. And then he's, become my father, basically. I mean, the guy.
You know what year that was?
So that was 2010, basically.
Right, yeah.
And so there's as I kind of became, first I was like a rep for Cafaro, and then I worked there doing marketing, and then I was, PR, social media, designing, and then one thing led to another, and now I run the company with the two daughters. The one thing that happened that was a blessing for them is the drawdown in the military was huge, and hunting was 3% of the company. And I had tactical experience, but my experience told me to get out of the not out completely, but slow down on the tactical and push hunting. Hunting was like giving dieting advice for Cafaro to a person that needed to drop 300 pounds. We had so much room to grow in hunting, and that's what we did, and it's worked out great. Now we're 5 or 6 times larger than we were 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And it's been great. I mean, like Patrick's like my father, but the one thing that's good we have right now that we have going for us tactically is I have friends with Dam Neck, Delta, that I can just call them, say, hey, what pack do you want? They're used to dealing with, they just get stuff shoved at them. And I'm like, no, you're going to design it. And they're like, what? And I'm like, no, you're going to fly out here. You're going to tell us what you want. We're going to build it. And then that way we know we did it right. I'm not guessing. I'm in a tactical environment quite some time, and so it's worked out well. We're growing huge. I mean, we're gonna have to buy another building soon. And the thing is, Mystery Ranches went overseas too. I mean, we're the only ones about left, made in America, all American components, and it's hard to do that these days. I mean, it's just difficult.
So here's my awesome Cafaro story. I had been in for 2 years. It was 2005. I was getting ready to deploy the first time. And I was doing a lot of research because as a JTAC, we're carrying tons of radios and tons of batteries, and nothing was ever designed for us. No, the Alice Pack didn't have antenna holes for the 117 Fox. It didn't have a proper radio pouch inside there. And all of a sudden on this site back in 2005 called Military Morons pops up one of the first Cafaro bags, and it talks about how every Cafaro bag is made custom to your specs. So I talked directly to Patrick. Patrick mailed me these templates that I was to measure points of my back that he was going to custom create the inner frame for this bag for me, based on the measurements of my body. And it was like the most expensive thing I've ever bought as an E4. It was like a $550 backpack.
We get that a lot.
But
Right.
but to me, when I deployed, everybody and Aaron or Patrick had created the antenna ports exactly where they needed to be for the 117 Fox. So I was a rock star. Everybody was always grabbing my pack like, where did you get this? Oh, trust me, I had to take a loan out for it. But it's extremely comfortable, and he had built that interior frame to fit the actual body armor that I wore. So I had that bag for another like 4 years, and then sold it to a younger guy that really wanted it on a trip he was going to Afghanistan.
Well, as a JTAC, you know what the Wolfhound system is. Big antenna, tracks cell phone, drop bombs on them that'll triangulate off what's the guy's wearing in a backpack. Looks horrible. I mean, you're basically a giant target. Those guys came in and they were like, we need a pack to hold this. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. They're like, you haven't seen it. And I'm like, no, I saw it. I've seen it a lot, actually. I'm like, it's horrible. And so that's one of the things we have all being made right there is guys. I mean, we have British SAS, Australian SAS guys just fly in. And
What year did it start?
Patrick initially started Mountain Smith in 1979, which was a backpacking company. And then he started Cafaro in 1995.
Okay, because I mean, it still seems super small in 2005 when I was talking to him. It was like, and he was devoting the time to every call that I made.
Now that's me. My phone rings off the hook nonstop. One of the things the podcast you guys just did, as far as talking about hard work, the daughters worry I'm going to have a panic attack because I sleep 3 hours a night. I'm on my phone. I'm on my computer. I try to talk to everyone. At some point in time, I won't be able to do that. But the thing is, when I dropped $1,600 on backpacks myself at one point, and half of it didn't fit because some jackwagon that was in high school was their customer service rep, I wasn't happy. Well, now they can talk to a guy that's been on sheep hunts, been on elk hunts, designed the pack. And I'm honest with them. Half the time they'll have a list of $3,000, and I whack it down to $1,200, $800. I'm like, you don't need that shit. I'm like, what are you doing? Assaulting, Al Qaeda? Like, yeah, you don't want that. Or your radio's not going to fit in that, dude. Don't buy that. Yeah. And so, and Patrick has instilled in me, obviously, the Made in America, everything else. But I get in trouble when I do not go into the field, which is weird for most people. Most companies nowadays, they don't look at it that way. He's like, you're asking to be able to go in the field 180 nights a year. If my daughters ever yell at you, you tell me. And they don't. They're supportive. You're going to design off what people need on the ground. And when you don't know what you want, you're going to find the guy that needs it.
You're a customer first. And when you're a customer of your own product, you're going to make things that other people that are doing what you do need.
That's like previous guest Donnie Vincent. Yeah. That's the one company he talked about was Cafaro, and like the Cafaro tents and the Cafaro packs and all that stuff. And he was a customer first, and he started buying stuff and helping design. And like, it sounds like a similar story to yours, but
funny
people
story
were fighting back.
Donnie, because I do all the marketing, and I was like, hey, I'm going to give Donnie a call and see if he wants to work with us. I said he's running our teepees, and they're like, yeah, and I was like, look in the system, see what we did for him before, and they charged him full price, and I'm like,
right, that's what he said.
I was like, you charged Donnie Vincent full price? And I was like, why would you do that? Well, they weren't in the, they weren't in the industry. And I was like, you just don't charge Donnie Vincent's full price. You don't charge Donnie Vincent's anything. Just send it to him. And so I called Donnie, and Donnie's not real big on sponsors.
Right.
And I'm like, Donnie, you've already sold us a lot, and don't look at it as I'm sponsoring you. Look at it as I'm paying for you for what you've already done and what you're going to do for me in the future from design and because he's in the field quite a bit, and we have a lot of the same ideologies on the outdoor industry in general. But it's been great just because, one, seeing the company grow. Like, guys will call and be like, oh, I'm talking to Aron Snyder. I'm like, yeah, I'm customer service right now. In a minute, I'm going to be assembly. I'm probably going to be the janitor if somebody didn't clean up the bathroom in about 45 minutes. I'm like, I'm a little bit of everything. So, and I'm only in the office probably till noon each day because I get up at 3, go to the gym, get to the office by 5:30, and I'm out by noon because I get more work done as far as emails, phone calls, and things like that at my office at the house. But it's great to see it grow and where it's going to go, especially with the connections I have and being doing a lot of breaching. I never had anything that worked as shit as a breaching system. So like right now we're working on a breaching system where it'll carry the sledgehammer, the hooligan tool, amongst many other things where, we just got stuff jammed down our throat that sucked. Like I got Blackhawk stuff. Nothing against Blackhawk. It just did not work for what I wanted. And so now I'm in a position where I can grab, you may need, I can't mention who it was with exactly or where they were going, but we had to build a bunch of packs that looked like they held tennis rackets, but they did not. And magically the back side that held golf or tennis balls held 240 drums.
Right.
Well, and then it needed to be different colors. And I'm like, I don't know who, and you guys are kidding, but you're not walking through an airport looking like you play tennis. Dude, you're missing fingers. You got scars. You got tattoos all over. But if you want me to build a pack to make it look like you're tennis players, you're not fooling anyone, but I will do it. And so when I say Bender, my head designer,
right.
He's the one, he was able to just lay out all the kit and then figure it out. But, I mean, being able to speak the lingo helps. And then obviously, one of the things Brian's good at on our podcast is keeping me out of trouble because I just say shit I should not say, and he keeps it clean. But when you step into when the SAS guy comes down, when those guys come down, we intermix, right? We meet, we get along very well. When you can see those guys start to intermix with bookworms, it does not work good. And like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do I think? You got to wear the fucking thing. You design it. I'm like, I'm telling you, this is your baby. You tell me what you want. Don't ask me. I'll tell you when you hit a point we can't do it. And they I mean, it works well. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I came through Cafaro when I first moved out to Colorado, and you guys had where exactly is it? Where exactly is your shop out there?
Wheat Ridge.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's a small shop with just a really small retail section. And I met one of the daughters. She was in the shop.
Was she taller than you?
Yeah.
That's Allie. Yep.
And I bought a vest. So I bought this green puffy vest that the sleeves, you could take the sleeves off and add Velcro that attached the sleeves, and it had this really, really high collar on it. And I'm going through everything that you guys had there. Like half the stuff you didn't have was partly on display. And I'm like, man, I use the shit out of this stuff. And I wasn't disclosing anything I was doing. I was just like, yeah, do you have anything some more kind of civilian colors, but functions like this, And I'm trying to steer the conversation, but I ended up buying a bunch of crap there that day because I was fortunate enough to have a $2,500 clothing allowance that all went to Cafaro.
Yeah.
And I bought one of your the poncho liners.
The Whoopee.
Yeah, the Whoopee, man. And
everybody loves the Whoopee.
Dude. That thing is
can
so
we make
epic.
Whoopies with you? Can we?
That Whoopee, I'm like, people will call me it's kind of expensive. And I'm like, look, I guarantee you buy one, you will buy more because your wife's going to steal that one.
Yeah.
And we sell a lot of Whoopies.
I bought 2 of them because I deployed somewhere, and then I ended up getting online and buying another one. Mm-hmm. So I came back, and I was like, I'm just going to throw the other one up on eBay. I sold it for more than what I bought it for.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it because I was like, how in the hell are you selling something for more than what you bought it for? But you guys didn't have them in stock at that time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I sold it for $50 more than I bought it. I was like, this is insane.
We have fixed most of everything. We've torn down all the walls, so the showroom's redone, and then we're 2-week ship time rather than 12 to 14 week ship time now. Mostly just became more efficient, and but it is like we're working on a zippered whoopee now for basically guys going through like selections or ranger school, and that's from me freezing my butt off on patrol. I'm like, hey, we need to put a zipper on this thing, and we already offer the whoopee, so let's put a zipper on it.
Yeah.
You think people will buy it? And I'm like, well, I remember going to Ranger Joe's and sewing a zipper on my poncho liner along with about 50 other guys, so I'm assuming people are going to buy it. And again, like, if you call next week as a JTAC and you're like, hey, I need this, 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 and this, there's a lot of JTACs. And so I'm like, well, do you think, is that something people need? You can say yes, and then I'm going to say, hey, Bender, get cracking, and then Bender will build it, and then I'll have a JTAC fly down. He'll put whatever inside of it we need to make sure it works. So it is expensive though, and the biggest thing is the comfort, durability, but it's expensive to keep things made in America. I mean, it just is. And we get a lot of competitors right now, both tactically and on the hunting market, that they have the made in America thing, but it's actually sewn in Japan with Asian buckles, Asian webbing, but it's put together in America. Yeah. And I get
assembled in
America. Yeah. But they still throw a flag on it. And it's like, and I try not to be too belligerent on forums or whatever. I'm like, hey, we're made in America, meaning I was in the room beside the person that sewed this last week. We did make it here. And that's something what we pride ourselves on is being able to still do that, and that's not going to change. So,
all right. So, how did you, in this dapper young man to the right of you, cross paths?
I'll start at one. I'm not very good at standing on the soapbox. He's gotten me out of my shell quite a bit, but I had never done a podcast, never talked to anybody really. Hid in a cave for the most part, was in the woods too much, and he'll break through that. He's like Asian close space right in my face. Hey, will you do a podcast with me? And I mumble horribly. And he's like leaning in. Like, what? What did you say?
I had followed Aron for years. So I love bow hunting. I love hunting. So I'm out in the woods a lot, as much as I can that my career would let me do. So I graduated the degree in accounting and information systems. Been doing this desk job, but then I'd hit the mountains as often as I could, big into fitness. And Aron Snyder was this dude who I followed when he was just a redneck in
previous
Oregon.
9-to-5 job in the IT space.
Yep, for me. Yep. Mostly consulting, IT governance, compliance kind of stuff. And so Aron is on I'm on the bow site forums and stuff, and Aron is just getting gear. And he would do a gear review on whatever he had. If he had a crappy pair of boots, that's what he would do a review on. And then he'd get another pair of boots. And pretty soon, companies were giving him stuff. And everybody on these forums, kind of grassroots, were like, hey, Aron, do another review. Hey, call these 5 different companies and get all the 5 packs and compare them all. So Aron's out there doing this just for fun, and he's calling these companies and they're giving him stuff and he's doing reviews. Well, I follow him for that. I follow him when he goes to Outdoor Life. I follow him as he's writing other articles, and he just kind of develops this reputation as a gear junkie and a guy who does stuff.
So you were a fanboy first.
So yeah, but there were a lot of people who hated on Aron. A lot.
Long list. You tell the truth, you're going to have haters.
Yeah, basically. So
I
valued Aron because he just said the truth. He said if he got a down jacket or something and it was a piece of crap, he just told everybody it was a piece. Well, in a polite way, but he was like, you don't want this.
Redneck from Oregon can be polite that can't spell.
So I valued the integrity that Aron displayed, because I'm out there spending my money, and I wanted somebody who truly tested it and could come back and say, yes, this is good. And because he grew up like such a poor kid, he's very sensitive to cost.
The poor kids. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I followed Aron. So a couple years ago, I started messing with film, doing videos just for fun, just with my buddies and I hunting and stuff. And I decided, you know what? I don't know. I went to this sportsman show and I'm like, I could do a podcast. Like, I could do this. And I had been listening to podcasts for a long time, big podcast listener. And I went to Aron. I'm like, it would be cool if Aron was like my first guest, so I said, hey, Aaron, I want to do a podcast. Would you be cool with that? And Aaron had said no to everybody. And in fact, kind of just was like, I don't really want to be part of, mainstream hunting community, TV. It's just not my thing. I just want to go to the mountains. I want to hunt. I'm going to share my information. I'm going to run Cafaro. But all this hunting stuff and all this, it's just not me. And I was like, but when I asked him, he said, okay. He said, yeah, let's do it. I don't know why.
I don't know either. Some things are just meant to be. I'm not an overly spiritual person, but a lot of shit has fallen into place since that day. Like a lot.
Yeah, so I do a podcast with Aaron, and I just am super curious. I have millions of questions for the guy because he's knowledgeable. So I just asked him all these questions on this show, and we published it. And it got just a ton of people liked it, loved it, just tons of views. So I did other podcasts, and then Aaron called me about a month later, and he's like, hey, how's it going? And I said, good. And I didn't want to pressure Aaron because I know he's pretty introverted, quiet, and didn't really put himself out there that much. But he said, how'd it go? And I said, it was really good. It got a lot of traction. And he said, do you want to do another one? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And so then we just started doing them, one a week after a while, about one a week over Skype. And
there's a lot of bleeping on those first ones.
yeah.
There's no cussing on the Gritty
you can
Bowman.
hit
There's no cussing on
explicit
the-
button.
I know you can. So it's funny. We've talked about this a little bit. Do you swear? Do you not swear? On the
And
podcast.
I've got 7,000 rednecks saying, just tell him to let you say whatever you want. And he's got 7,000 Mormons saying, no cussing. My kids listen to this.
So we have these two different backgrounds, right? So we blend them together, and it's been neat because a lot of people that would have dismissed Aaron just because of the language or because of
I don't smile.
have gotten to know Aaron and value him on another level, right? And then I've been introduced to his world, and I'm no longer like just a pansy. I can hunt and
Cuss words aren't bad.
yeah.
Well, the thing is that the podcast has helped. I mean, taking business out of it. I don't know what half the community thought I was a fucking asshole. I mean, literally, because I didn't smile and I didn't talk. And I'm a funny guy. Once you get me going, I'll talk you into submission. Well, Brian could crack that shell and get me talking, and I'd be telling stories and one-liners. We have T-shirts of my sayings, right? Harder than woodpecker lips, whatever, things like that. And most of that I learned in the Army. And people are like, oh, and I literally had, hundreds, probably thousands of emails now. Dude, I thought you were an ass. You are hilarious. And it's helped me as for people to see me in a different light. People still, especially being former military, I've heard everything from I'm Delta Force to ground branch to everything known to man. I was in the military and, I did some stuff, but you guys were like, anytime anybody hears military, they start concocting stories of what you did and had done.
Yeah.
And I have good field craft. I'm good in the field, but very little of that, as you two probably know, do you actually learn in the military, right?
I quickly figured out that Aaron was a gold mine of information and a super cool dude. And I after just a couple of conversations, I realized that there were a lot of people who were never going to see that side of Aaron. Because when I walked up to Aaron and I talked to him the first time, I brought my Cafaro pack to this event. I'm like, hey, Aaron, I want you to
Sign this.
No, I was like, show me how to fit this thing on.
I sign a lot of them
how
now.
do you
though.
adjust it? And Aaron adjusted it for me. But I remember talking to him, and his head's down. He's like, yeah, it's a good jacket. And you like this. And I'm like, what? What? Hey, what? And pretty soon he opened up.
Came out of his shell.
Yeah. And then after we did a couple of podcasts, I'm like, oh, this guy. I have a lot of introverted family members that don't really talk, but with the people they're comfortable with, they're amazing. So I realized quickly that podcast situation is genius for Aaron because it allows him to come out, be one-on-one with just a few people, be
So
himself.
you're pulling information out and sharing it. The things that you admired about him, you've been able to pull those out and share those with the world.
Yeah. And
So
the world likes Aaron.
Yeah,
turns out.
I think he's great. Our first interaction was, I'll never forget as long as I live. I'm not going to tell that story.
I'll
on the
tell
Why
him.
not?
So
Can I
I'll tell
tell
the
it? Can I
story.
tell it?
let me tell it from my perspective, because you have to know the backstory. So I had recently broken up.
JT, you're gonna like this.
With my girlfriend, and who's claiming she was my wife through common law marriage, hacked into my Instagram account, a few other different things that weren't great. I'm a little on edge over this because I'm finding I have to go to court over all this stuff. And I get a text that says, "Are you the one sending my wife nudie photos?"
Dick pics.
And I'm like, and someone had broken into my Instagram account and started sending people of noteworthy, I guess, stature in the industry, not so appropriate photos. It wasn't even my wiener, but, and so I'm immediately thinking, okay, I'm going to have to bust somebody's head open here. This is not going to be good. So I'm driving up the road, one hand on the wheel, not paying attention, reading this text, and I'm assessing the situation immediately. I'm like, okay, there's 1, 2, or 3 things going to happen here. This dude's going to understand me. I'm going to have to beat the shit out of this dude, or I'm going to have to call him and explain the total situation and send some screenshots.
Clue. He had no idea the text. It was a random number.
Now, keep in mind what had happened previous Black Baker, right? Someone in California, British Columbia, and Georgia had sent me messages. I think your Instagram had gotten hacked, and they screenshot and they say, "We know this isn't you, but it's wieners," right? And I'm like, fudge, this is not good. How am I going to handle this? And I'm like, I don't know who you are or whatever. And then he tells me who it is, and I call him like, "You motherfucker."
I had no clue that he was dealing with this situation. I was like, I'm going to shoot Aaron a text. I got to get some info from him for his flight because we were hunting in Alabama 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And he goes, "Yeah, here's his number. Give him a call or shoot him a text." So I just shoot him a text, having no clue that he's dealing with this.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's like, "Nope, not me, man." And all of a sudden, he calls me. He's like, "Dude, man, that's not even funny." I was like, "Man, what? I thought it was hilarious." And he tells me the story. I was like, I had no idea.
Well,
are you the guy sending my old lady dick pics?
This just happened.
2 months ago.
2 months ago.
Well,
Jesus.
I've got my new girlfriend who's a bit of a prankster and would fit right in with us. She's laughing hysterically beside me like, "That is awesome. It's classic." And I'm like, "That's not awesome. I about had a jump start. That was not awesome at all."
It's the greatest first interaction with another human being I've ever had in my life.
Leave it to Baker for that one.
No doubt.
So anyway, you said you decided one day
Yep.
that I can do a podcast.
Yeah.
And so you just took that first leap. So a lot of the people, entrepreneurs, business people listening to this podcast, the lesson from this is, Brian, I could do that. And I think I can do it better.
Well,
and so you just did it.
Yeah. I would say, I tell this to people all the time, like the 42-year-old Brian is succeeding where 30-year-old Brian would have failed.
That's a nugget right there. That's a nugget. I
just didn't have the guts to do it. I didn't have the business, I negotiate I want money. I want you to pay me.
You guys are also, a very, I imagine in the hunting space, not very many people know how to operate a lot of this.
Right.
So you're in a space where I think it's going to take a while for anybody to catch up.
Yeah, it's not like you're doing an IT podcast on Silicon Valley.
Yeah. Where all your peers know how to build these machines. Like you're in a place that is probably starving for content from experts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then number two, there's nothing that is tailored to them.
Dude,
truly.
The first time that I wanted to do a podcast, the challenge was this: what's a podcast? This is just 2 years ago. I've been listening to podcasts for 6, 7 years, and I go to the hunting industry and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this show. Nobody knew what a podcast was in the hunting community. It's just, that's the community.
Even today, I just say radio show.
Seriously.
It's a radio show.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a radio show. I'm a radio host.
Because
actually sounds cool.
Because I'm with Cafaro and I deal with it on the the 10,000 emails a month of please give me money for my YouTube page or whatever. Looking at it from, let's say a high readership of a hunting magazine is 90,000 people. We covered that last week.
Exactly.
We covered
and
that
guess
today
what
or
it
whatever.
costs you in printing costs?
Yeah.
It costs you about $15 a month with a subscription to Libsyn.
Yeah. Right. It's ridiculous.
Is Cafaro a sponsor of your podcast?
Absolutely.
Oh, nice.
And
So-
hopefully his wife doesn't listen to this. You think she will?
Probably. I don't know. Maybe not.
It's buried.
So since I'm part of the, I get a Cafaro gets a little bit of a break in price because I'm on the podcast. But I was like, Brian, what do you want me to pay you this year? And he was like, well, when money goes into the account, the wife sees it. So can you just buy me some hunts? And so he's going on a moose, goat,
it's harder
caribou.
to take the money that comes in.
Mormons are crafty, man.
If they just buy,
Mormons are
if they
crafty
just-
business
They
people.
are crafty.
Brigham Young taught you well.
That's right.
You're going on
This
a
is all making sense now. Why our finance man is the way he is.
goat, moose, caribou, and mule deer hunt is
Yeah.
what we've booked for him this year.
Something that people don't, that I think people don't know about is Aron negotiates well for product. Like for years, Aron has been getting free stuff from companies. All he's got to do is call them up and they just send him for boxes of it. But if Aron had to ask for dollars,
I'm not so good.
he just was like, yeah. Anytime when I called Aron up, I'm like, so Aron, we've been doing this podcast for a while, and I do a lot of the behind the scenes editing and stuff. But Aron is a huge part of the show, so I'm like, hey Aron, you want to be part of Gritty Bowman? Like, do you want to like partner up, or do you want to just still be the co-host, just a friend of the show? Like, do we want to do business together, or how do you want to do this? Do you want to be a partner? And he's like, yeah. But unless you don't want me to be a partner, then I don't want to be a partner. And that's how Aron negotiates. That's how Aron negotiates.
It's good.
How the hell did you ever get laid, Aaron?
I know, right? It's my beard.
I don't want to
It's my
do
beard.
it. I don't want to do it if you don't want me to.
I can
That's exactly it, dude. I'm telling you.
I can piss out of a canoe sitting down. So that's a good sales pitch.
I'm going to use that one too. so how old is Gritty Bowman, the podcast?
I think maybe
How
it'll
many
be,
episodes? Better yet.
220.
Yeah, that's healthy. Yeah.
20.
That's longer than
super-
Drinking
How
Bros.
long
Drinking
did
Bros
you
is only
do-
on 140.
How long did you do Gritty Bowman before you said, I am quitting my 9 to 5 and I'm going to pursue this full time?
1 year.
How did you tell your wife that? Because you have 3 kids?
Yes.
And how did you break that to her?
Well, so the other
Or
job.
did you not tell
the other
her?
job paid me.
Does she not know?
Yeah, she knows.
Okay.
The other job paid me well, and I'd been out of college since 2003, working this career. It was a good 6-figure income, and I started doing the Gritty Bowman on the side. And the first thing, what I did was I read the book, The 4-Hour Work Week with Tim Ferriss.
Right.
As soon as I got through that book, I figured out I negotiated working from home 1 day a week, and then 2 days a week, and
So
then
you
3 days a week.
followed the script.
I followed the freaking script.
There you go.
And then
Tim Ferriss, you hear that?
that's right. And then I was working maybe 2 days a week in the office and 3 days at home, and I was getting about the same amount of work done because you're just getting coffee and lunch and whatever at the office. It's a waste of. And then meetings. I heard you guys talk about that before.
We don't have meetings in this building.
It's corporate America. It's office space.
Yeah.
It's exactly what my life was.
Stapler.
And so I left. So that was that was what I did, and I started doing the podcast. So I did everything for free. Like I promoted stuff for different companies. I would film stuff for anybody I could on the side, make a promo video for them. I would make films for the film tour. Anything I could do to grow the Gritty Bowman brand. As much content as I could get, I would record. I would go to the shows. I was a big fan of the Barbell Shrug podcast. Those guys would go to like the Paleo FX conference, or they'd go to like the Arnold, and they'd do 10 podcasts, 15, 20 podcasts in a 2-day window. So I was like, hey, that's genius. When they're all these famous people all in one place, knowledgeable people. I'm gonna do that. So I learned from that. So I started doing it. So I was putting out a lot of content, a lot more than any of the other guys in the hunting industry. There weren't a lot of podcasts in the hunting world either. So after I did that for 1 year, all of a sudden the name was there, the brand was there. I had like within a couple of months, people were coming to me and saying, hey, we'll give you some free gear if you rep us and stuff. And I'm like, no, we're good. Nope, we're good. Nope, we're
Where
good.
have I heard I don't give a shit about free gear from?
I have no idea, Baker. That's me. Yeah. If I want something, I'll buy it.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah.
I'll buy it. But so for the first year, I didn't take any money really, I didn't make any money. I just kept building the brand. So after that year was up, then all of a sudden Aron came to me one day and he said, "Hey, Brian, have you thought about how you're going to monetize this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but after I kick more butt." And he's like, "Well, or now, like it's time." And I remember going, "Okay, let's figure out a plan." And I went and talked to a few companies. I showed them my numbers. I put together. So one of the things that's interesting, and I don't know about you guys, but when you're dealing with numbers and impressions, a lot of the companies they'll come to us and say, "Well, how much money do you, how many impressions do you have?" Well, from a business perspective, I could care less how many impressions somebody has. What I want to know is conversion rates. How much does the Gritty Bowman generate in, how many of our customers do we convert into a purchase of a certain product? So we partnered with a couple companies with coupon codes and just said, "Look, we're going to do our best to work with you, promote your product. We love your product, but we're going to promote that." After a year, we knew how much money we made for them. And we could take that and go to other companies and say, this is what our conversion rate looks like. If your product is XYZ price, this is what we think we're going to make for you. This is how many customers we think will, and we could project what we would earn. And then we would say, this is what we think you should pay us based on that. And let's be conservative because we're just starting this partnership. And then in a year, let's talk again. Well, it was like foreign to them. They would receive these 15, 20-page booklets from other hunting brands that would say, we reach 3 million people.
Right.
But it didn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. We came to them with stuff that meant something. Mm-hmm. And pretty
actionable
soon,
intelligence, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty soon, companies were like, well, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Let's do this. And then they saw returns, and then they partnered with us some more. And it just has grown since then.
I would say what's amazing is how many companies said no that are wishing they had said yes.
No way. I've never heard of that before.
I literally just had this conversation with a radio network, a satellite radio network, and they're like, well, what are you willing to pay for a CPM? And I was like, that all depends, man. Like, I'll pay $100 a CPM if it converts,
right?
But I won't pay $1 if it doesn't. So that's where I stand on CPM.
Yeah.
And they're like, fair enough. And I'm like, so it's got to be a fluctuating number. I'm not into branding, as they say. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, dude, you can do branding, but that shit better convert. Yep. And if it doesn't, then it's a waste of money because I can spend money over here on advertising that works, or spend my time and money on something that's like going to convert even at a level up, or I can just flush it down the toilet with Harris Publications or something.
We could take a video of us burning it in a wheelbarrow, and that would get more views and convert more than it would advertising in your shitty print magazine.
What's amazing is how many that hurts some fucking feelings. I'm blunt, right? He's way more polite than I am, but we were walking across the walkway at the ATA show. I won't mention the company's name, and since I can cuss on this podcast, I'll say exactly what I did. Like, hey, are you working with this company? And I'm like, yeah, we are. And yeah, you fucked up. You blew this bridge. I'm like, we tried to go to you a while ago, and you basically treated us like infidels. We're not knocking on that door
We
again.
saw that with Range 15. The first year that we had just the info packet, people looked at us like we were idiots. And then the next year when almost 8,000 people showed up to that trailer release party.
I had
all
team
those
guys there.
all those companies went, oh no.
Well, and that's been a reaction to me, from my perspective, that's been in large part like the similar reaction to Aron Snyder. There's a lot of people that sold Aron down the river.
Those guys told him not to talk to me at
Why?
all. Stay away.
Just animosity for some.
Well,
for some
there are
strange
some
reason.
very influential people in the hunting industry that really went out of their way to discredit Aron because they had competing products,
and also, success breeds animosity.
Yeah,
and like Aron is a very, very accomplished hunter, like at the highest level that a person could be, and It's just basically from all the hard work and time he spends out in the field.
Yeah.
And like in the trad archery world, like there's people that are like, that son of a bitch. It's because he literally took a trad bow and in 12
a recurve, stick bow,
stick bow in 12 months, or was it 16 months?
12 months.
12 months. Went
Not
out and
even
basically
that.
shot
6 months.
6 till I started.
basically a
4, actually, when I
a
killed
North
the bear.
American slam. The trad
Bear, elk, two mule deer, turkey.
Yeah.
in first year or 9 months, and most people like that. I mean, that
They'll hunt.
they'll
10
get
years.
one of those maybe a year every 2 years. He did it all in 9 months, and he shot one mule deer
At 5 feet.
at 5 feet. It's
pretty cool.
The top of its antlers was like 3 feet below his toe.
What's crazy is
I don't
that-
like him now either.
Yeah, the level of
him
ADD I have, because he knows, because he has to be like, "Will you slow down?" Because but I can be a ninja when I have to. But it's funny, my basically the guy that actually gets things done on the customer service side at Cafaro, I left that poor bastard in the middle of the baking sun for 3.5, 4 hours, and then my fat head pops up above the deer 3.5, 4 hours later, and he's still got his eye on the spotter, and he pops and he stands up like this, like a foot touchdown. I'm like,
You're there.
I'm there. I made it. The deer's still there. I take a couple steps forward, and I'm going, and I get to where I'm like 12 yards away, and I'm like, I'm going to have to shoot this thing at about 3 yards. And I'd lost my shoe several times in this whole ordeal because you stalk in your bare feet. So then, and Brian, this is the one day Brian should have been there, but he had to edit, right, all the stuff we'd been doing. So I've got 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and I'm like, I unknocked the arrow I had because of the broadhead. I'm like, I'm going to shoot this thing at 5 feet. I'm almost positive. Knocked a new arrow on, and I ended up basically standing on the table, and the deer was bedded on the floor, and its velvet was even with my feet. And I'm trying to figure out how to draw my bow without hitting my hang down because my limb is like right in my crotch, and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to work. And then the shadow was about to hit its eye line. I'm like, man, it's going to think a mountain lion. If I'm not careful, my fat head's going to screw this up. So I shoot, and then I hear Frank just screaming because he could see the blood shot out of it and hit my leg, and the arrow was dragging on the rock when it ran out of its bed I was standing on. And then Frank, not being the best at following directions, as I left him with the 5-point contingency plan. He listened to none of that. And I'm like, I'll come back and get you. So I go all the way back to where he was, and he's at the deer yelling. And I'm like, mother, okay, I'll come back. So I walked all the way back around, but that was one of many crazy, everything we got with the recurve this year was pretty
Epic.
yeah.
So he makes noise when he goes through the woods if he's not trying to be quiet.
Aaron is aggressive. He just in the same way, like if you got into a scrap or whatever, Aaron's aggressive.
So what we call that Captain Crunch or Thunderfoot.
Right. So Aaron's aggressive. So what he makes up for in lack of this, like wanting to be quiet, he makes up for in attack. And so
Tactics.
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's definitely better to be either ultra cautious or
I only talk
ultra
about
aggressive.
it when it works, though. I don't talk about the times it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey.
Where can we find you guys?
Yeah.
Where can
see
everybody
where we can
find
find it.
Gritty Bowman Podcast is on iTunes. You just look up Gritty Bowman.
And GrittyBowman.com.
And then social media.
And we have a YouTube channel where you can see Aaron shoot black bear with his recurve. We have a bunch of elk, mule deer film.
I was just looking.
What's your
I was
Instagram,
just
Aaron?
looking at it. It looks fucking cool.
Yeah, and the YouTube channel is where we post all of our videos as well.
I will fuck you up like a football bat.
It's ARON_Snyder SNYDER on
Yep.
Instagram.
And for a redneck, I am quite the photographer.
He is a phenomenal photographer. And then Brian, it's Gritty Bowman on
Gritty
Instagram.
Bowman. And it's Bowman plural. MEN.
Bowman.
Yep. And
Not Bowman.
but our website is the same, www.grittybowman.com.
And then Cafaro.net, not .com, so KIFARU.net.
And what does Cafaro stand for?
It's rhino in Swahili. Don't ask me where that. I just say
I think it's
for
awesome.
rhino tough. So,
Rhino Tough.
You know the story about kangaroo? I'll tell you that.
Kangaroo.
later. Kangaroo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it stood in like a Bushman. They're like
No,
kangaroo, and they're like they thought they were calling it a
it means
kangaroo.
what- yeah.
It means I don't understand what you're saying. That's what kangaroo means.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't understand what you're
When
saying.
they pointed at the animal, they were like, "What is that?" They said kangaroo, and they realized years later it meant they don't know what you're saying.
I'm going to use that a lot
Yet
now.
still to this day,
Dude,
we
that's
call
awesome.
that motherfucker kangaroo.
When somebody uses a big word, I'm going to be like kangaroo.
I still love that clip where that guy decks that kangaroo.
Yeah.
That's
Poor
genius.
bastard. All right, guys.
Awesome,
Thank
guys.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming.
Appreciate it.
Salt Lake City. This is Black-Hearted.
Black Rifle Coffee Company, along with Arson Wave, would like to thank you for tuning in to Black